Hello and good evening. Welcome to this month's Sound Fix. Anybody who's jumping in, welcome along. Welcome along if you're streaming on YouTube and having jumping into the chats. Please feel free to comment away. I've got chats open in front of me, and I will try my best always to answer any questions. If you want to kind of talk and you're watching on YouTube, feel free to jump across via the links on YouTube, on the YouTube description, jump into the Zoom call and happy to converse with you there. This month, excuse me, I'll clear my throat. I am going to do a workshop focus for the next hour on creative automation techniques, essentially looking at some automation. What is automation first in music production and sound design, sound production, and how it's used, different ways it's used inside ADAW, and then finally I'll probably finish off the session the next hour just looking at some creative ways to use it. Now, if you're brand new to music production and you don't have an idea what automation is, then let me enlighten you. Automation, the clue is in the name. Automation is the automatic control over a period of time of a control, a parameter within a DAW. So a parameter being a control. So it's a control of a control over a period of time. That could be applied to any or most mixer functions, which we'll have a look at that in a moment, effects functions, and instrument functions. I say functions, parameters, controls. So mixer controls, effects, and instrument controls or parameters, as they're known. So I'm going to open my DAW of choice this evening. I've got a little bit of a track that I've been slowly working on. It's a bit of an electro vibe. And I'm just going to use that to demonstrate and run through what automation is and how it's used for the next hour. All right, so just let me share my project here a minute, share my screen and my sound, and make sure we've got some sound as well. Please bear with me while we get this sorted. With a little bit of luck, we'll now see this project. Some glasses. All right. Just going to check that I've got some audio on one of my other devices. Sorry about this. Yeah, we haven't. So let's have a look at what that would be the problem. But I'm just going to check where you have got some audio your end, whoever's listening in. Yeah, have it. All good. All right, on with the show. So automation. We can use it, as I've already discussed, in three areas of any DAW. The first one, let's have a look at the mixer area and what we can possibly automate. So if I open up my mix area here in Logic Pro, we can see lots of audio channels, lots of instrument channels, some sub channels. We've got quite a lot going on in here. But let's just focus on a single channel and discuss what can be automated. So controls that we can use. The mute and solo buttons here, we're able to use those. We can automate those going on and off. We can automate a fader up and down. We can automate a pan control going left and right. We can automate auxiliaries, sends, bus sends. So if I said I wanted to send this across to a drum group, I can pick a send and I can automate the range control there. I can also bypass the actual send itself. I'm going to reset that. I don't actually need that on there, so it's no send. We can also automate. I'm just going to bring in any effect a moment. Let's just bring in a Logic stock one. So we can automate the on and off of the effect itself as well. And that is about it on a channel strip within Logic Pro. So those functions can be automated. Outside of that, now let's have a look at, for example, a synth. I've got Vital going on here. So this is an instrument. So I'm using Vital here, synthesis wise. All of the movable parameters you can see on the screen can be automated, even moving through these wavetable controls here. This can be automated as well. So every single parameter, every single control can be automated. Even we can change the tempos and the quarter notes, the eighths and sixteenths here, timing wise, when we're applying modulation, for example. Every single effects selection and effect controls can be automated. The matrix controls in this synth in particular can be automated, and all of these advanced controls, everything can be automated. We'll have a look at these in a moment in a list form as well. And then finally, what else can we automate? We can automate effects. So I've got a full chain of effects here on this Vox tab. Let's just open a couple. So I've got outputs movement here. Every single one of these controls can be automated, even this XY pad over here. All of these can be automated, and we've got Berserk right here. Every single control on this can be automated. I expect now you've got an idea of what can be done. Now, automation essentially allows us to control any one of those parameters over a period of time, as I've already discussed. That does a lot for our music and our sound design. It enables us to take a static song, for example, that's just been recorded. It may well have been recorded through some effects, but it allows us to manipulate tracks or sounds in a way that you maybe couldn't do before if you were playing them live, for example. You know, I may have an acoustic guitar player or a guitar player playing. They might have some pedals, all right, but there's a lot more that I could do using automation and creative automation after the fact. All right, so we were able to do a lot after the recording fact. So where is automation located? Well, it's always different in lots of DAWs, but generally you will find automation on a track header. Now I'm going to literally focus here on a sound. Let's see if I can just use solo this bass sound, for example. Oh, it's not the best to actually solo and run through. What have I got? I've got a little bit of a rhythm somewhere here. I've got a filtered beat. This will do it. All right, we'll just use this as an example for now. Okay, so in Logic, there's two ways to do this. I can hit the automation control at the very top up here, or just hit A on my keyboard, which opens the automation lanes. And you can now see the track header has changed from what it was a moment ago. I'll just open that up a little bit more so we can see what we see on a standard track header. There we go. We can see pan controls, volume controls, we've got the recording controls, and we've got the input monitoring controls and the mute and solo controls here. If I hit A for automation again, we can now see additional controls where we have the automation types. So selecting the type of automation we want to use, and we then have the parameter we may want to automate. For example, here by default, every single one you can see has got volume by default. And we'll have a look at that in simple terms in a moment. And we've also now got this track and region based automation. So we can swap between whether we want to carry out automation all the way across the track throughout, or we want to specifically apply automation to a single region. For those of you maybe not understanding what a region is, this is a region of audio here. So I could just automate this region, apply a load of changes to that, and then copy that, and it would take the automation with it, whatever I've done inside that region there. I'm going to leave it to the default of track-based automation. Like I say, 1 hour here is not enough to really explain, in depth what's going on, but I'll do my best. All right, so let's now have a look at the types. We've got read, touch, latch, and write. I'm just going to be using mainly read and latch here this evening. I may touch on latch. Sorry, I may touch on touch, and I may touch on write. And I don't know if I'll have time to go around to the trim and relative functions, but I might be able to explain those quickly in a moment. So, all right. So the most common, well, actually, I say it's not the most common, but the manual way of inputting automation is to use read mode. And now in simple terms, let's now say I wanted to fade this beat out at the end of this section here. If I now click anywhere in this track, I now get a line that represents the current volume state, this current volume level right here. So if I grab that and I turn that down, oh, have we got? If I grab the line, sorry, and turn that down, you can see, there you go, look, they're now tied. That line is moving down and the faders are moving down. If I use my controller to move them up and down, that should be linked. I don't know why that's doing that, but there you are. There we go. All right, so that's my volume. So what I can then do is click on the line itself and create a node being a breakpoint. We can also see the current volume in decibels, -2 dB, 2.6 dB, sorry, there. And we can then create another node. And we can keep on creating a series of nodes. If I zoom in, we can also zoom in and do putting lots of nodes in. We can do some really crazy stuff. And I can now let's create another one there because I don't want to take everything down after this track. And I am now changing the volume of that drum beat. So There we go. So that is a mixer function. We have now creatively changed the volume. I know it's not that too creative, but we've now creatively changed the volume of that filtered drum beat. Let's focus on maybe the part of the drum beat a little bit before. And now we're going to swap and apply. Let's so oh that by the way, let's have a look at this. I'm going to insert a couple of effects on here. I'll just go for a little bit of berserk distortion because I'd like to. And actually, I'm going to put movement on this as well. So if I just here, let's see if we can find. I know where. No, we'll just use a little bit of modulation. Well, we'll use a flanger. What I want to do is show you now. I've got some effects inserted on this channel. I want to show you how this list looks in list form. So we are now seeing in this little drop down area, we've already changed the volume here. By default, this is the first parameter that we're able to change, but underneath this drop down list, we can access other other parameters of which to automate. We can see we've just done volume. We've got these terms, absolute and relative, which I'll discuss in a moment. Pan, I'm going to do this actually first. We can see the solo control, the mute control. We've got the insert bypasses. So I can turn off these effects that I've just added on at any point in the song. And we can then come back out of the main. So main being mixer, all the mixer functions, as I discussed earlier. If I had a send on there, let's just send this over to one of my, let's just go reverb along, for example. And we go back to that list and you will now see under the main controls, there we go, look, we've got the send one. So again, this would control the send of this drum beat going across. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. We've then got each of the effects and their controls. Now this can be, if you're just starting out, this can be quite overwhelming, trying to figure out what is what. If you're a beginner, you might struggle with knowing what these controls are, and hence I'm going to be looking at what we call latch mode in a moment, where we can actually record just moving these controls. And if you play with certain effects and effects processing and also the parameters on an instrument, you are obviously able to record your movement. And as you do that, you tend to then learn the names, because those names will come up in the automation lanes that you've tweaked. So you will begin to familiarize yourself with each of these controls. You can see there as well, we've not got so many on the flanger effect because there are not as many controls, 4 controls on that. And we can see pretty much under that list 4 controls. There we go, each one of those. Some effects are just, and some instruments are huge. I may even in a moment look at that, look at the Vital Synth, which can get really, really quite in depth. And we're not restricted when we use automation to just one lane. So if you're a newbie to this, yeah, I'm about to do some panning now from a simple mixer point of view. So let's just do that right now. We go to pan. We're going to use absolute, which is the most common form of automation. What relative allows us to do, and I should just mention that now, is relative kind of really works when you want to do some automation with inside some automation that you've already done. For example, I have a volume change here now. Now that is kind of like a locked thing that's going to happen in my track. So my automation, my volume level is stuck throughout the track now at minus 2.6 dB all the way along there. Okay. Now, sometimes when we start to mix, we may want to turn that automation, that track up and down level wise. But when we've got automation locked, it's going to make it really difficult because we'd have to come back into all this automation, select it all, and then turn that up. We can't just turn the volume level on the channel strip up. It just wouldn't work. It would just keep on bouncing back to the state it's in at that moment in time. So what the relative control allows us to do is to create another automation within inside this automation, or over the top, should we say. So I've got this volume level doing this here, but I could use the relative function to record another automation lane that turns it up at a certain point. You know, you may want to turn these drums up or might not be a drums, it could be vocals, for example. You may want to turn the vocals up in the chorus section where they're not quite pushing through enough, and you might want it a little bit louder, and you might want to pull something back in the chorus. You've got loads of automation, volume automation on that already. It can make it difficult. In the old days, we used to have to kind of bus, before we had these relative controls, we used to have to bus out or send our track here, for example, to another volume, to another bus, so we can control that volume without it affecting the automation data on the track here. So yeah, that is essentially what the relative and the absolute controls mean. All right, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so I've lost my train of thought. We were about to do some quick pan control. So absolute. And now I've got another lane. I've now got the pan lane. All right, we'll discuss this in a minute. If I click, I'm now seeing this green line, which is representing the current state of our stereo pan function, dead center between left and right. Let's now create some nodes, and I'm just gonna click, and I can now move these around as well. So let's now look at doing something quite clever here. We're going to deal with I'm grabbing these nodes and I'm moving them along, and you see we've got a guideline that allows us to almost snap these into the beats core notes in a bar there. So I can create more of these, and actually I'm not going to waste too much time doing this, because in a moment I could show you some tools that will speed things up a little bit, but let's do that many. Right, so I'm going to now take this to the left, this to the right. I hope this will work over Zoom, because I know Zoom sometimes, can't remember if I've got the Zoom outputting in stereo or mono. Hopefully it's in mono. So now, sorry, stereo. So you hear what happens here. And you can see our pan control right here, and on the track header, buzzing from left to right. Automated, but no hands. Awesome. Now that would take a long time if I wanted to go through. So I don't have to have those values going all the way panning left and right. I could, do whatever I want to. That's the great thing about automation. So let's now, if I wanted to keep this going, yeah, I could make some more nodes and do the same, but you're going to have in most DAWs an automation select tool, and we find that in our standard toolbar inside Logic, and here in my toolbar appropriate to this workspace inside Logic, I've got an automation select tool. So what that allows me to do is draw over this automation and select it. It's now white, and I can use the copy function inside Logic to now drag and grab this in the right place. Let's see if I can do that. There you go. Grab that and then literally copy that right across. There we are. So now I could keep on doing that. I can select again. So the automation select tool really, really works quite well. You're able to use that. Let's go back to my cursor. There we go. All right. So now I've got two automation messages going on this drum track. So we've got some pan and we've got a volume fade. And we can see the volume in the background. And that's fading down. There we go. All right, so now that's a really cool little some basic mixer automation techniques you can do. You can then review these automation techniques under the drop down list again. All right, we can see the used automation. So as you start to apply more automation lanes, and we can put hundreds in if we wanted to, these are lanes tucked away behind that will go all the way back, and they're hidden away embedded into the track. You can see them here, what you've used, what you've done. And you are able to also, if you want to, you could use a drop down menu here. And again, a lot of DAWs have this active where you can then see different lanes. And if I've got more automation, which we'll have later, we can hit plus here and yeah, keep on adding in the lanes, and we can edit individually that way. All right, so that is what we call manual automation. Oh, we got somebody coming in. Let's admit. Manual automation. Hello, Dan. Welcome. Feel free to ask any questions, Dan. Welcome along.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am doing good.
Yeah, where are you from?
America.
You're in America, are you? Ah, cool. Are you a bit of are you a beginner? Are you quite you're a bit of a
Oh, I'm pretty new to this stuff.
Oh, are you? Wow. Okay. Well, this is probably quite informative then, yeah?
Yeah, your lessons have been helping me a lot.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. What have you been watching? You've been watching stuff on the Academy as well, have you?
Yeah, I have.
Ah, cool. Good. That's really good. Yeah, great. All right. Well, just if you've got any questions, I'm going to carry on. But if you've got any questions
Alright.
in the next half hour with any of this that I'm doing, feel free to ask. What DAWs are you using, by the way? Oh, he's gone. All right. Okay. Hopefully Dan will come back. Yeah. So again, lost my train of thought, but we are. I now want to show you latch functions. All right, so this is a lot of fun. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reset all this automation that I've done here. And wiping this automation out can be done quite easily. It's just click. I can grab a node either this end or this end and wipe this out straight away. But it's not gone. It's still there. All right, it only becomes a destructive control when I double click. And now it is fully erased what I've just done. Now, the reason I've done that is I now want to demonstrate quite simply the use of latch. All right, so what latch allows us to do is control any parameter in real time, almost recording what we are doing with either pushing a mouse around and changing the parameters as we go, or using a control surface. So I've got one in front of me. I could use that. I could stick my control surface right now into focus mode. And let's see, let's just quickly make sure that this is working. For example, I will now move to focus on. I'll put my mouse there and I should be able to. Oh, let's have a look, see what's going on here. Focus mode. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that's working. Oh, sorry about knocking the mic. All right, so what we can actually do here is record what we do. Now, I won't. Not everybody's got a controller, and it would take me a little bit of a moment to set my full controller up to fully kind of interact with all of these parameters. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, in simple terms, just show how latch works right now with the pan function again. And I'm going to go back a few bars. All right. There we go. Okay, so the pan control right here, always on the on the track header here. Let's have a little play. Watch what happens when I just hit play. I'm not hitting record. I'm just hitting play in latch mode. Great. That has just recorded me moving that parameter around. That's a really, really fast, intuitive way to get really quick results with automation. You can, of course, then edit all this and tidy it up after. Now, actually, while we're doing this, I'm going to go again from back here, and I'm going to show you what latch mode does. Sorry, touch mode, and I will then come back to latch. But touch mode is exactly the same as latch, except for when we finish the movements of the parameter, it will return to the state of which it started in. So right now, our pan control is dead center. All right. That will then return to that, even if I'm at full left or full right, back to that 0 point when I let go. Whereas the latch function it doesn't do that. All right. So let me just quickly give you a demonstration of how that works a moment. Let's do it. It's acting exactly the same, but if I now there you go, it's gone back to 0. I let go of that. Somebody else coming in. All right, so we'll just stop that right there. That is how touch mode works as well. Hello, welcome along, Alicia. Nice to meet you. Okay, or not. All right, so let's now also show you how write mode works, because that's really quite informative as well. It's deleting. It's going to delete all the automation data. Now, what I mean is not just the automation data on this specific lane. It's going to erase all of the automation data, so including the volume changes that I've made a moment ago. That's really important to know in write mode. If you've got 20, 30 different automation data points happening throughout this single track, for example, and you put it into write mode and you think, I'm just going to kind of get rid of using write mode to get rid of my pan functions, unfortunately it's going to wipe everything off in behind wherever you start it. All right. So be aware of that. If you want to just erase the panning you've done and do that again, I would suggest doing as I did a moment ago and just erasing the panning from just moving the left or right nodes across and double clicking to wipe it out just on that select automation lane. But here is how write works. You can see it just wiping it out. And the volume is being wiped out as well. all the way down to that state at the very bottom there. It's now going back into touch mode. So let's just put this back into read mode. Let's just correct all this a moment. So while I'm doing that, oops, go back to our volume lane, and we will wipe that out right there. Oh, there we go. Okay. So summing up before they're moving into some creative automation techniques to finish off the session, we have just explored what automation is about. We have looked at some simple volume automation, mixer automation, particularly volume and pan, two separate lanes, how we can flick between those lanes, how we can also access the list modes. All right, so if right now, if I wanted to grab the automation lane for example, let's go for the drive control on Berserk, which I've got open here. This is the drive control right here. And I'm now, this is the state of that current drive control. So I can move this up and down. You can see the drive control moving up and down. Stepping. So that's how the list mode works. But as I said, it gets quite difficult navigating your way around some of these meanings if you're kind of new to this. So a great thing to do is just always use latch mode. Now, what I wanted to just quickly demonstrate a moment. Now, if we are before moving on to creative techniques, if we do use latch mode, which is the easiest way to use it, use automation, I would absolutely encourage the use of it because you do get quick results out of it. You must always remember that once you've done a parameter change, you've maybe recorded the drive function moving up and down, or adding more drive and punch, distorting this drum beat, for example, at some point in my song. I must then remember to put this back into read mode. If I don't do that, you could probably figure out by now that if we left our tracks in latch mode and we maybe turned the automation view off to go back to, and we close the plugin to go back to kind of editing and production, state here, we may then forget what automation we've got going on. And we might start to change things. We might start to change functions on the effects. We may start to change the volume level. What would be happening is, because it's still in latch mode, everything would be being recorded. And you may then go back to the beginning of the track and you're like, hang on a minute, why is that happening? That shouldn't be happening. I didn't do that. Well, it's recorded what you are doing. All right. So that's important to understand and is a warning. Put that back into read mode, and you can't damage what you've done. You can't change it, all right, because you're not hitting record in latch mode. You're just sticking it into latch mode and playing. It will record what you're doing though. Another great thing is I've got obviously get some automation here on these parts now, these regions. I'm going to delete these. Look, there you go. Right, actually, if I try to delete anything now on that track, I've got automation data on there. It's going to say you've got automation on this part. I had a little bit of volume going down into this region. So you get the choice of, you're going to get this warning sign: erase or don't erase the with the part. I would say here, don't erase, because I still want the volume to happen on this region here. Now, also similarly, if I want to kind of copy this across, I again will get a warning sign. Do you want to copy the automation data? So I've got a volume change happening in that. Do you want it to copy the automation data in as well as the region? Well, I kind of don't in this case. I just want to just have the region copied because I've got a volume change going on in that. So I would say don't copy. But you can see at the bottom there, it says don't ask again. Now, I wouldn't ever tick that. I'm a pro. I always want these warning signs to come up because I'm not always knowing, once I've got lots and lots of tracks developed, what I've done automation on, what I haven't. So it's really important for me, even as a professional, to just keep these warning messages coming up. All right, it's the same as moving it as well. So let's just delete that. Let's just erase. So if I was going to move this region over to here, yeah, move as well. All right. So I don't want to move the automation data either. Okay. All right. So hopefully all that makes sense so far. All right. No questions. Got the people watching. Okay, that's good. All right. I am now going to think about doing some creative automation just to finish up the session on some of these parts. So let's have a quick little listen to what I've got going on in this little vibe here. Let's see what we can do because we're kind of almost heading into a little break here as well. Let's delete these regions right here. Let's think about something that we could do. All right, so just to have a little bit of fun here, I am going to do a nice big reverb splash and a delay on this analog Juno synth as it drops into this little break. Now I've actually already got a huge reverb on this via a bus here. So bus 10 is going to the FabFilter Pro R. I could, for example, so if we just turn this off a moment, so this is without the reverb. I could automate this turning up. All right, so actually let's do that. Let's have a little bit of fun. I'm going to stick this into latch mode. So it's A for automation. Let's stick this into latch mode. And let's record. Pulling that up, and then we'll pull that back down. Right, cool. Okay, that's done. Now, I could, if I wanted to here, really go to town with straightening out this. All right, you don't have to. We could do this. We could kind of get one of the other nodes, swipe that out. So actually, we're a bit more precise with it and we can move it around that way. We have also in the tools got a curve tool, so we could make automation changes like this. So you can see, watch the latch, watch the send amount now. Much faster. Let's go the other way. Yep. So, I want to let's hum a bit earlier. A bit too early with that. That's kind of funky. I like that. That'll do for a moment. Right. We're going to take it out of latch mode. And now I'm going to put a Let's go for a delay. Let's bung in something like replica. About goes on with the delay with mix control there a moment. Catch the lad. Feedback up a little bit more. Yeah, cool. Right. So now I'm going to automate the mix control opening up. I might even automate as well the feedback. Let's have a look. Let's have a little play. It is all trial and error. It's what you just, you got to kind of do this and listen back, stick it back into latch mode and go. All right, now put that back into read. And just so that you're aware, you can now see that's 3 or so controls are now applied, and we can use the drop down functions to see those. There we are, look, all in those lanes. Let's have a quick listen, see what that sounds like in the mix. I'm going to do some more yet. We've got 10 more minutes left. Why not? Let's do something else. This is Creative Automation in play. Now, obviously, this is a work in progress, and I've got a little delay happening there, and then it fades off, and the reverb carries on. So what I'm going to do is add in after. Oh, after the Pro R, actually. This is really quite interesting. I'm going to add in a tremolo after the Pro R. So let's have a look at that. Bit of modulation. We use a Logic stock one for this. And I'm going to actually, let's have a little bit, yeah, let's have a full depth. And we'll change. No, we'll change the symmetry. was going to try and get, here we go, let's get smoothness, see if we can get a square so we can stutter even more. There we go. About 50. All right. Now, this is going to require me, if I turn off the automation a moment, this is going to require me to put the space verb bus. You can't see this is off screen on my desk. I'm going to now put the bus into the arrangement area. Where is that? Space verb, that's it. Okay, let's create a track for you. And there it is. I've now got that auxiliary channel strip now as a track inside, so I can automate on that. All right, so again, we can automate auxiliaries and bus channels. Really, really helpful. So now we'll go A for automation. Let's switch on our latch. And we will now, but what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to switch the latch off again. I'm going to have the tremolo off because it's going to just be tremolating anything that's passing through. I just want it to happen at this point. So I'm going to switch it on. So it's going to record me in latch mode, switching it on and then adjusting the rate control. All right, so let's see what we can do here. This is going to be a bit of fun. All right, back into latch mode. And play. We go and off. Obviously I didn't catch that in time, but we can correct all of that later. Let's have a quick listen back. And you can hear the tremolator cutting into the reverb because I've inserted the tremolo effect in after the reverb on that bus. And of course the Juno synth is being sent across to that bus. The reason I would have it off for the rest of the bus being played throughout the track is because there are other sounds being bussed across that. I probably would set up, if I was to do this creatively, I would probably set up another channel to do this type of effect properly, just specifically for that Juno synth, if this was a creative. But you know, I'm just playing at the moment. That's the most important thing. It's just looking. Your only limitation here really is skills. If you're ever doing any of this, it's all sound design. Is your knowledge of what your effects can do, what you can possibly do, and what creatively you can think of. Your mind is the only thing that's holding you back, because the tools that you've got inside these DAWs nowadays, let alone any of the hardware you've got, are immense. What they're capable of is, yeah, beyond some of our minds. Sometimes I have to think really hard, you know, about what I'm doing. Yeah, so and you can see that there's the bypass channel, and of course then I will have here the rate, and you can see the rate. Oh, is that sped up? Oh, it came back around, didn't it, in a loop? Oh, let's just let's get this to speed up like I did. It's reset because I just didn't stop it in time. We can do this though. We can do it. Let's see if we can just get out really crazy. Might want to need to do this in step modes. Right, let's see what happens. Why not? Let's take it back down. Let's take it back down to, let's not go hertz. Let's just keep it at DC rate, which is basically DC is between what we've started on is hertz, a frequency. So this is doing quarter notes, but DC is in the middle, and we could actually do it actual frequency, so it's free and not tempo syncing to your BPM. Quarter notes, eighth notes, 32 notes, etc. If I go above, it's going to start to just do it from a frequency point of view, so a free vibration. No, I'm gonna take this down. So we come, let's get rid of that node. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, it gets lost around about there, so maybe we'll do. Cool. There we are. So that is pretty much the session, everyone watching or listening in. I hope you have found that quite informative. It is just a small overview. I am about to, if you're interested, I'm about to kind of finish up doing a free automation course on the Academy. You can visit the Academy by going to blackgoldaudio.co.uk /academy -courses, and we'll land on this page. There are lots of free courses on here and lots of paid courses. Have an explore around. Yeah, check out our pricing. Obviously the free ones are free, loads on there, but we can if you're interested in mentorship, I'm more than happy to kind of talk to you. You have meetings, we do have free calls that you can get involved in, full premium membership, and obviously you can have buy into single course access for 6 months. It sounds to me like somebody who joined earlier has been participating already as well. So yeah, you can, if you're really interested, you want to book a meeting with me, feel free to jump on here. Free 30-minute consultation to discuss needs. Happy to do that for any of you who are maybe watching. And if you're a teacher, you have to CPD, join on that session once a month. Really great. Those are really well attended, and a lot of really cool stuff comes out of those. I do a free weekly taster session, kind of like this, but I just show everything or touch on things, whatever anybody wants to do. And if you're a member, you become part of the premium weekly there as well. Listen to what our alumni say about us, or about me, or go and check out some of their projects, film projects, for example, and songs that some of my past students have created. Some amazing stuff on that page. And finally, obviously, the testimonials. Check out what some of my previous students have said about me. Yeah, feel free to go and have a look at all that and join a community as well. Get involved. All right, so that is it for this session, this sound fix this month. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Please feel free to join again next month. Last Thursday of every month is when it is. You can see the links to it there if you want the links to jump into Facebook. Bang, it's all there every month, the same. All right, yeah, please do. And yeah, that's it. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Bye bye, everyone.